Hi ladies and gents, Pond here with another video for Rise of Empires, Ice and Fire. Thank you so much for your previous likes, comments and subscriptions to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, why not click on that button and ring the bell so you can get notifications of whenever I'm dropping videos on the channel. And now onto the topic of this video, and it's all about damage today. So let's just think about what damage is first. It's covered in lots of different elements, descriptions in the game. So just in terms of, let's have a clarification between might and damage. So this is a response that I got to a question I put to the devs about what is the difference between them. And they replied saying might and damage have different meanings. Might refers to the hero's attack power, which is an attribute, but increasing attack power can increase damage. So might equals attack. So obviously normal might, the attack power, the first item on the battle report is your might for your troops' attacks. And then the tactical might is the attack power for your skill attacks. And basically, the more you have of that, the more damage you will do. So that is good. So I don't really want to kind of dwell on that anymore. You know, how they work out the figures, the battle mechanics and the battle engine, we don't know. But basically, more is better in that regard when it comes to might, tactical might. Damage refers to the specific damage caused, and that is they're referring to skill descriptions here. Now, this is where it differs. There are actually two different elements in the skill description. So first, if you look at Jade Eagle's 8th skill, you can see that in this skill, it says 60% chance to deal 863% massive damage to 2 random enemy squads. So what it's saying is it is doing that figure of damage to each of the squads, 1700 whatever in total for the two. That is the most that you can get from a single amount, single figure in the game. And you're going to see this in combat skills throughout the game, you know, skills that relate to doing X amount of damage on a specific turn or to X amount of squads. But you also see this information. So this is taken from Sacred Forest Garden, which is Jade Eagle's 4th skill. And this is saying that archers in Hero's squad, and then just the underlined section here, have 20% increased damage dealt, 20% increased damage taken. Now, when it's referring to 20% increased damage dealt, that doesn't mean that they take the number 20 and add it to 863 to make 883%. For skills that are referencing damage in this way, the smaller percentages, they are referencing, they're adding it literally as a percentage. So 20% on top of 863 would be another around 172, something like that, 173. So that's what it means. It's actually that 863 initial damage on skill 8 is actually being boosted by 20% as a percentage. But that's where you're going to see percentages written in skill descriptions in two separate ways in the game. So I hope that's kind of clarified any confusion there might be. I wish the devs wouldn't use the terminology percent when they're describing the top figures here. Why don't they just say X skill does, whatever skill does 863 damage? Why do you need the percentage? It just causes some confusion. But let's think about, away from those figures, those larger figures that are showing how much damage a skill does, talking about actually increasing the damage in general that your squads do, that your troops do. What can you do to increase damage? Well, let's have a look. First off, we have gear. So over at the blacksmith, you're going to see on all sets of gear that they will give a boost, and it's all in the 6-piece element here. If you click on the information, you can see that maxed at a full set of gold gear for steel cavalry, wanderer gear and dreadnought gear will give you 10% extra damage. At a full set of blue gear gives you 1%, purple 2%, orange 5%, gold 10%. So just another reason why it's really good idea to get that full gold gear as quickly as you can to benefit from this extra damage, because that's going to be damage all the time from both your basic attacks and your skill attacks. Of course, we do have the advanced gear sets as well, and you can see that both Dragon Master, which is obviously for all troop types, mixed troop types. The Tyrant gear for footmen and the Immortal gear for archers, they do give an increased 20% damage. But again, this is a 6-piece skill ability, so you do have to have full sets at that specific rate to benefit from that. That's important to remember. So those are the different skill sets. And in terms of the boost that you get from these, it's 2%, 5%, 10% at orange, 20% at gold. Some of you that might have been adding single items of Dragon Master gear to your sets and breaking that gold full set, this is the reason that you're probably not getting such good results as you were thinking, because when you initially put that piece of dragon gear into your gear, then into your either archer's set or probably cavalry set, you were probably thinking, oh, the attributes from that single element of gear is actually better than what I had in there from the normal cavalry piece. But you're breaking this 10% bonus that you're getting, and that is why most people would advise, well, I presume most people would advise, I certainly do, that you don't want to be actually using Dragon Master gear in your sets until you've crafted 3 or 4 pieces and you can put them all in one go. Then the buffs that you get from the Dragon Master gear will balance out the loss that you're getting from the reduced damage. In terms of research, damage is a funny one. There's only one element of research in the game that references anything to do with damage, and it is fortified shields in the footman training. Footmen take fewer critical hit damage. Now, and it's leveled up to 30%, but I don't know what the term critical hit is referring to. So, answers on a postcard. I'd be really interested to hear people's thoughts in the comments about this one. But this is the only skill that references damage. So nothing in Master Warfare, etc. references increasing damage just as a percentage figure so that it impacts on every attack you do. There isn't any. Of course, there is this individual elements that are going to increase your might, your tactical might, your resistance, tactical resistance. That's all going to impact on the level of damage that you do deal and receive. But obviously, it's only going to be for those specific elements of skills, not everything like we're looking at the moment. In Reign of Chaos, so a lot of us have started Eden this week. So you also have your combat speciality, and there is damage abilities covered in this. So if we go into the honor section on the combat banner, you can see that I've highlighted all 6 of the skills. So if we look at the North Arm, first off, there is Chaos Expertise. This will give up to minus 10% damage taken, so it's a buff to you during the reign of it's a debuff to your opponent, I guess, during the reign of Chaos. So this top arm is just referring to tile battles effectively. And then Chaos Master up here, it's going to increase the damage you deal during these battles up to 10%. Left, again, it's not for castle attacks, so if you're hitting sieging castles, it's not applicable. Bottom left here though, total defense, damage taken in battle, up to a maximum buff of minus 5%. This is when you're being attacked. And Imperial Fist, plus 10% damage dealt during siege defense. So this is when your castle is under attack and you are being attacked. These buffs will be applicable. You'll reduce your damage by minus 5, and your troops will deal an extra 10% to the attacker. And then on the bottom right, Siege Expertise, you will receive minus 10% damage taken when you are sieging another castle, and Iron Warriors, you'll get an extra 10% damage dealt from your troops to the opponent that you are sieging. So those are the skills in from the speciality abilities, and a lot of players, that's why you do change over to the red combat specialization. You use your points there in between seasons because you're not getting any buff benefits from the green or blue sections. So it's most players that have lots of reef sets, they will change over to combat specialization because these buffs on the bottom left and bottom right are applicable at all points, like during KE for instance. The other thing that affects in Eden that does have a consideration is will. So you can see on here, will is going to impact on damage. So you start with 150 will, no damage decrease, and then will affects your troop damage. Will minus 1, your will total minuses by 1 every kilometer marched. When will is lower than 100, then for each minus 1 will, your troop damage is minus 0.7%. Basically, first 50 kilometers, anything you hit, you've got full troop damage in effect. After that, if you hit something more than 150 kilometers from from where you are, then in theory your troop damage should be up to a maximum of minus 70%, which can be catastrophic. I can show an example of this. So I was hitting noodles yesterday because we had a bit of a dust up with GFC in our Eden map 4, and you can see on this report what I've highlighted. I can't remember how far away I was specifically, but our actual legions were pretty similar, not that different. Full normal gold gear. Noodles is probably got a similar hit the legion I hit was pretty similar standard, but look, troop damage for me minus 47.6% because my will was only 32. Obviously Noodles was where he was because I was attacking him. His will was 150, no damage decrease. I lost 1.6 million power. He only lost 750,000. So this is the impact that damage can have on you, and you have to be very careful in Eden, on the Eden maps, guys, that you choose your targets wisely. If you're attacking someone too far away from you, even if you have a considerable difference in power, like maybe you've got Dragon Master gear and the latest SX heroes, if you're attacking someone like 200 kilometers away, you can still lose against someone who's theoretically got a weaker account than you. So distance is a key consideration for you on the Eden map, guys. Now, let's talk about heroes. There are, like I was saying about the Jade Eagle's 4th skill, that he had that extra 20%, that smaller percentage figure that is buffing all of the attacks that he does. Now, a lot of heroes have this buff on their 6th skill. So let's just take Tarantula, for instance. On her 6th skill, you can see, as I've highlighted, plus 15% damage. So that's giving her plus 15%. So if a basic attack did 100 damage, this will make it do 115. So if she had a skill attack that does 200 damage, this will make it do 230. So this is where this is. It's applicable to all damage that her troops are doing in her squad. You will usually find this buff on middle row, or heroes that are traditionally on middle row or back row. If they're defensive heroes, they will, instead of the damage, they will have HP, which I've covered in a separate video. You do see some heroes, particularly heroes that might specialize in damage, might have a big damage buff on their 8th skill, for instance. They might not have damage on their 6th skill, or it might be reduced. So for instance, let's pick Avalanche. Avalanche only has a 10% increased damage on her 6th skill. Of course, she has that amazing increased demo power, but then she makes up for it on her 8th skill, where she is getting an additional 30%. So in total, she's doing 40%. Even early in the game, you're going to encounter heroes that have these skill abilities. So even Zoro, he's the first hero, normal orange hero, you're going to see he has plus 10% damage. But in general, you're going to see heroes with plus 15%, middle and back row heroes. In terms of actual individual skills, so what I'm talking about is skills 2, 5 and 8. There are lots of heroes in the game that have skills that are going to do that have damage related abilities to them. Lawman's 8th skill, Warlord's 2nd skill, Living Saint's 8th skill, even Orochi, as early as Orochi's 2nd skill causes weakened effect, which is a minus 20% damage for 1 turn. Him and Rough Rider do that. So there are lots of heroes that have damage related skills. Son of Ragnar, his 5th skill will give an extra 70% damage to opponents when they are CC'd. Warden, the new SX6 archer hero, his 5th skill reduces the damage by 70% when troops in his legion are CC'd. So he actually completely negates that Son of Ragnar buff. But that's why Son of Ragnar has to be placed with heroes like Brave or Army Breaker that do a lot of CCing, so that you get that extra 70% damage. It's the damage that is the most important element in his skill arsenal. So I'm not going to go through the million heroes that are covered in that, but I do want to pick out a few for you. So first off, we have Jade Eagle. Jade Eagle is the S4 back row archer hero, killer hero. He is just a pure killer, and as I already touched on, he's the only hero in the game where this 4th skill, Sacred Forest Garden, for every other S hero, it's just giving 50% extra might. But for Jade Eagle, his gives 60% might, 20% increased damage, and he actually increases the amount of damage that he takes as well with this skill. So it's a big debuff for him as well. He is a glass cannon hero, big punch, but he breaks easily. Interestingly, though he has that damage buff on his 4th skill, he still has the extra 15% on his 6th skill as well. So in total, Jade Eagle is giving an extra 35% damage boost to all of the attacks that he's doing. And he's got some great attacks. Obviously, he is an archer. Archers do more damage anyway. Plus, all 3 of his attack skills are doing a lot of damage. So that is why Jade Eagle is such a good killer. And he's unique in terms of that 4th ability. Next up is Spectral Reaper. Spectral Reaper is the SX3 archer hero. Again, he is an excellent attacking hero. 8th skill. Self squad's basic attack damage is increased by 100%. This is the biggest single percentage buff of any single skill in the game. So if his archers, you would usually do 5,000 kills. When you unlock his 8th skill, they're going to do 10,000 kills. Huge buff. The other really good thing about Spectral Reaper, his 5th skill, increase another 60% basic attack damage. So when he's doing those, if you've got all of his skills unlocked, and if his Jabaku skill activates, then it increases it by another 60%. So he goes from 5,000 to 10,000, and then it's another 50% of that base figure, 60% of that base figure. So he's actually going from 5,000 kills to about 13,000 kills. So it is just really huge damage that he does from basic attacks. So Spectral Reaper definitely deserves a mention. Up next, Immortal, the S2 cavalry hero. He is just such a necessity for all of us. He has this 8th ability, the 8th skill, Jousting Charge, increase of 80% damage. And now this is a typo for the devs. It's not for the whole Legion. That would be absolutely insane. It's for the squad. It's a status skill. It's related to one random friendly squad, his squad. The effective range is 0. So ignore that word Legion. But 80% damage for all the attacks that he does. Again, absolutely massive buff that he's receiving all of the time because it's a status skill. This is why all of the top players in the game, even the super spenders, they're still going to have Immortal in one of their 5 top legions. He's in so many of the top combinations. Even the oldest players in the game that are now, we have access to SX6 heroes, you're still going to have Immortal in one of your legions. Some people would have had him for like over 2 years in the game. So because that 80% just gives such a big buff to everything he does. And that's why, if you look, these figures aren't like standout headline figures, these damage figures here, because actually it's the 8th skill that is boosting those by so much. And then finally, Sakura Blossom. For me, she is the hero that has the biggest impact in the game through her damage abilities that she has on her skills. Unfortunately, I don't have her in my main, but she is just all keyed around doing massive amounts of damage at the start of the battle. So if you have seen my Mixed Legions video, there's a battle video on there that shows Sakura with Rosenblade and Spectral Reaper, and they are just doing absolutely massive amounts of damage. The reason for that, first off, her 2nd skill is going to make you go first. So it's all about combat speed. That overrides all of the combat buffs that all the cavalry heroes have. So you can check out my combat speed video if you want to know more on that. But then her 5th skill, for the first 3 turns, 2 random enemy squads take 50% additional damage. So this is a huge figure already. And then her 8th skill, first 3 turns, 2 random friendly squads deal 50% extra damage. So in total, those 2 skills add up to 100% buff. But if they hit the same, if like, you know, you've got one of your legions attacking, one of your squads is attacking with that 50% buff, it hits one of the opponent's squads that has a 50% debuff, that's 100% swing. When you are looking at heroes like Spectral Reaper with Sakura, she's giving 100% swing on top of the 160% he's already giving himself. Now we have heroes like Warden, SX6 Archer, who is giving Spectral Reaper an extra basic attack. So he's doing 2 lots of 260% damage on his basic attacks. You're talking about around 20,000 kills potentially against cavalry. Maybe even more actually. And with a single basic attack. So that's 2 lots of 20,000 kills. And then to make matters worse, Warden actually increases the skill attack damage as well. With Warden's 8th skill increases skill attack damage, and it can boost that by like up to 60%. So then if, for instance, Jabaku activates, it's going to make even his weakest point, the damage done by Spectral Reaper's 5th skill, it will make it even bigger. So damage is a very, very important attribute in the game, guys. I think along with HP, for me, it's the most important thing in terms of attributes. The differences are huge, as you've probably seen. Let's just very quickly, I need to come out of Eden actually. I want to just show a battle video at the end to kind of show it in action. I think I'll just go with like a Heroes Duel historic battle, which has got like a Jade Eagle in it, so you can see the difference. But yeah, compared to say Might and Resistance, damage is definitely more important, guys. If a hero has damage related abilities in their skills, I would definitely value that higher. So let's just have a look at this video. Yeah, Jade Eagle, here we go. So just very quickly, if we have a look, you've got a couple of heroes that buff damage in this. So even just in this one, almost all the heroes have damage related abilities. So those cavalry squads, middle and front row, did 1,500 kills. There you go. Avalanche did 2,500. And then with these archers, you can see 4,200 kills for Tara on the middle row, 4,900 for Jade Eagle. He's got that extra 35% damage. So just a very quick indicator from the battle video. All of the it can be, you don't want to look into it too much, guys. There are lots of different heroes that have lots of different damage abilities as part of skills as well, particularly when you get to SX heroes. But some of the key heroes that have these big jump out numbers, like the ones I've mentioned here, these are the ones that you want to focus on. These are why they're going to be so key. It's why damage is so important as an attribute in the game. So I hope that I've made that kind of clear and made it understandable, the differences, the way that it's defined by the developers in the game. And I hope you have learned something from this video. So if you have, do please click on that like, and if you have any comments or questions or anything to add from what I've said, please do pop it in the comment section below. If you could please share my channel in your Alliance chat, Province chat, and of course we have guild chats now, and then please do share it there as well. That would be much appreciated. And if you use Line, WhatsApp, Viber, Discord, in those areas as well, that would be great. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.